I worked on this fly for a long time, and the first problem was fixing it from fowling. So what I did is I took the rabbit strip and I popped a piece of mono through it, and then this solved the issue where there's a pair of pliers of the tail fouling. And instead of putting a loop underneath, it goes straight through it. And it keeps it kind of suspended and it bounces.
So you're not separating the hairs to tie that in.
I'm just pulling
right
it
over the top of it.
Yep, and then put it on top.
Oh, okay.
And then I'm going to throw a wrap and then take it off. So now it's stacked, and now I can stack the threads right back to the base, and I'll crimp that. So now this will bounce. Okay.
What pound is that?
20. And then the second problem was.
Have you ever done one with the stingers?
I'm thinking cams.
So,
Right?
Do what?
Oh,
Have you ever done a
cams?
stinger hook like a loop took off the back? You're like, that would work.
No, that's what I'm thinking.
So,
Hang
the
on.
second problem with this fly.
I'm gonna slow you down for 2 seconds because this is something I'm actually interested in. You poked it through.
Yep. And you want to use a really small needle, otherwise, if you have to use a Magnum
So it's
zonker
looped.
strip. Yep, it goes through it.
And that's a standard zonker.
It's a Magnum zonker.
Magnum.
If you use a standard, it's not wide enough; it pops off. So the next issue is the splat factor. So like the classic black and purple fly for tarpon, that was like this, called a swamp bunny, and they used a cross-cut zonker for zonker strip, and you palmered it to make the body, which is very similar to this, but when it saturates, it splats, like it gets heavy and it sinks. So if you're trying to lead fish like a tarpon or a snook, this fly is falling through the water faster than if the fish slows down, it gets below them, they miss it. So then you have to like pick it up and move it again. So I wanted the same body, but I wanted to get rid of the zonker strip. So I figured out I could put it into a bulldog clip.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
Stole that from your wife, right?
Third one.
So you don't cut the hide off and then dubbing loop.
Cut the hide off and
Hides off. Yeah.
dubbed it.
So I'm gonna,
Gun.
it's already cut off.
Oh, get it out of here.
That's quicker than cutting it off and then dubbing loop.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do a dubbing loop, then I cut the hide off, and then I spin it. Is that a rookie move?
I don't know what you trout guys do.
Gentlemen.
Huh?
I don't know what you trout guys do. That's a different religion.
You're tying a trout fly right now, sorry.
Cam fly. With blue.
Wow, look at that.
It's just showing off.
It's magic.
Okay, so now I got the same collar as like a swamp bunny, like an old school key style tarpon fly. Gives me the movement I want without any of the weight. So now I need a way to suspend this thing. And everybody used to use deer hair, but the problem with deer hair is that even if you were to measure it out, right, which you can't, because an individual the hair might be different, right? So like the buoyancy, and once it's in the water for a long time, it gets saturated, and you're gonna, one, it's gonna splat, and two, you're gonna lose the buoyancy. And for me, I want this thing to ride just below the surface. So I figured out why, watching a guy cut pasta in an Italian restaurant, that I could incrementally adjust where a fly rides in a water column if I used foam. So I went home, ran a sheet of foam through my pasta cutter. So we ran it through the pasta cutter, long story short, and then Hairline cut it for me now, so it's called Fettuccini Foam. So that's why this came up. I called the Tuscan bunny. Was literally I was at an Italian restaurant and I was like, we gotta get the hell out of here. I need to go home and make this fly. I got it figured out.
Yeah,
So I just started playing around with different amounts of the foam until I got it where I wanted the buoyancy versus how the sink rate.
How do you determine that? Do you have like a tank at your house?
I got in the pool and I had my wife strip the fly over top of me, and I watched it from the bottom, and it was loony, but I got it exactly the way I wanted. It's 11 strips of foam for this hook.
What's the optimal sink rate when you look at a fly like that?
No sink rate. It's
Zero?
neutral
You want
buoyancy.
what?
I want it to ride 2 inches below the water surface, so it pushes a V wake. So if it's real muddy or murky water, I can slide this fly along. So I use 3 strips, cut it into 4s, gives me 12. I'm gonna get one out of here.
Sorry.
Who's your go-to company for materials? Do you have a multitude of them?
The Hairline does all my stuff.
Ah. Drew, who's that guy that was at Clearwater, the Columbia thing for carpet, that has that materials company up at Clearwater?
Daryl Akins. Or no, you're thinking of Thomas Lanfear from Nature Spirit.
Nature Spirit, yeah.
Daryl Akins that was presenting is also on Umpqua Tire.
Ah.
Okay, so now
You
just
just
take.
flared it by sucking down on it, right?
Yep. Then I spread it out, and now I'm gonna just start trimming it to get the angles I want on the front, kind of like a bullet shape.
Bass fly.
Yep. But as the water goes over all these little weird angles, it makes the tail swim in different directions.
I put that fettuccine foam on the back hook of a lot of streamers. Mm-hmm. And you pull it, it does that, and you still get the neutral buoyancy. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
So for me, what I do is I measure it off the back of the hook, and I cut them all off with the second segment of my finger. That's the perfect length for all of them. That's my tarpon bug.